the homeland and how this is the whole enchilada, who was originally supposed to be here, why did they come to Ohio, what connection they have with Ohio, and I can go into it like that.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I'm ready.
Can you hear him pretty good?
Can you hear me pretty good?
Yeah.
Okay.
What is your full name?
My name is Paul Darrell Tabler. Okay.
Please spell it for us.
Capital T-A-B-L-E-R.
And can you spell your full name, Paul?
Oh, Paul. P-A-U-L, Darrell, D-A-R-E-Y-L. Tabler, capital T-A-B-L-E-R.
And what is your date and place of birth?
7/15/49, and I was born in Chesterhill, Ohio, on Davis Road in a farmhouse.
If you can just answer in a complete sentence, so if I say where you were born, I was born, my name is.
Right,
kind of thing.
okay.
Were you born at home or in a hospital?
I was born in a home, and Dr. Whitaker delivered me.
And who was Dr. Whitaker?
He was an old-time small-town physician, and he also worked at some major hospitals in Athens, but he was a country doctor.
Now, what do you consider your family ethnic or racial background to be?
My family's racial background is Native American.
And how did you come to find you were about your Native American heritage?
From my great-grandfather, Arthur Harris. He lives right here in Kilvert, Ohio. Well, he's passed away now.
And what kind of things did he tell you about your heritage?
He said he was from the Carolinas, and he was an Indian from the Carolinas, and that he said his parents lived amongst the Cherokee, but they weren't Cherokees. They were Catawba Indians.
Is that really loud? We're gonna have to move because
Okay.
that's really noisy.
Good.
Oh,
Closer to me.
okay.
Yeah. Good.
Where were you? You were talking about your grandfather. If you could just follow up on that.
Okay, they migrated here, and not to Ohio, but they went from North Carolina in 1830. They were ordered out of the state of North Carolina by the state authorities because the Cherokee Indians at the time were being expelled, and they had a choice: either leave with the Cherokee, give up their children in bondage and stay there, or leave the state. They chose to leave rather than be in bondage under the Pauper Act.
And where did they go from the Carolinas?
They went to the Virginia area, up north, Philippi, in that area. Then from there they migrated across into Washington County.
And do you know where they, can you say Washington County, Ohio?
Washington County, Ohio, I'm sorry.
And do you know what brought them to Virginia? Why did they decide to go to Virginia?
Well, because that was part of the old Siouan Catawba region, and the relatives were there. The relatives were from, that was a whole area of migration from the Carolinas up to into the Virginias, the Piedmont areas of the Virginias, up to into the Ohio, up as high as Steubenville, down through in the Gallipolis area. All that was Siouan area, and they all had relatives there.
And how do you classify yourself?
I classify myself as a Nissan Indian, which is a combination of all the mixed Siouan tribes, and I do have some Algonquin from the Nipmuc Pequot tribe in Massachusetts from my father's side.
Now, do you consider yourself to have any Caucasian or African American?
Yes, due to the reasons that during the periods where there were slave revolts and the Indians still maintained reservations and set reservations set up by the King of England in Virginias, that some slaves did escape to the Indian reservations, and once they got to the Indian reservations, they didn't have to give them up. And then eventually they became part of the tribe, and some black blood would be through that situation until the Virginia legislature dissolved the reservations and deceased the slaves that were retreating on the reservations. Okay.
Now, can you please tell me the name of your parents?
Gerald and Geraldine Tabler.
My parents are?
Oh, my parents are Geraldine and Gerald Tabler.
about your mother's maiden name?
She has no maiden name.
Oh, she was
Just Gerald. Oh, I'm sorry. I messed up. Harris. Harris is very important. Harris.
Okay, my mother's maiden name was.
My mother's name was Geraldine Harris.
And where was your father born?
He was born in Utley, Ohio. That's a coal community. It's now gone, close to Broadwell, Ohio.
And do you know when he was born?
I believe it was 1926.
And is he still living?
No, he's passed away.
How about your mother? Where was she born?
She was born in Kilvert, Ohio.
And when was she born?
Let's see, 1932, I believe.
How about your grandparents on your mother's side? Who were her parents?
Well, Art and Rhodey Harris.
And do you know where they were born?
They were born in my Art Harris was born in Ohio. His wife was also born in Ohio too.
And do you know what her maiden name was?
Her name was Rhodey Tabler.
And how about your parents on your grandparents on your father's side? Who were his parents?
It was Dennis Tabler and golly, I've kept my grandma's number, my father's mother, Jenny Tabler.
And do you know her maiden name?
It was Flowers.
And do you know where they were born?
I believe they were born in Virginia, and my grandmother Jenny was born in Virginia, and I believe my grandfather was born in Ohio too.
And can you tell me about your siblings, your brothers and sisters?
Yes, they were all my brothers and sisters were born in that farmhouse in Chesterhill, Ohio.
And how many are there kids did your parents have?
It was 5 children, and I have a cousin that we consider a sister was born there too. 6 altogether.
Can you give me their names by any chance?
Let's see. Gary, he's deceased. Jeffrey, he's still alive. God, I'm under the gun. Joey, he's still living. Debbie, and Jeannie, and I had a sister named Janet. She's passed away.
And where did you fit in the birth order? What child were you?
Right smack dab in the middle. I was a middle child.
What is your spouse's name?
My spouse's name is Rolita Monique Tabler.
And what's her maiden name?
Edwards.
And do you know where she was born?
She was born in Cleveland, Ohio.
And what is her date of birth?
7/28/62.
And how did you meet?
Well, I met at a Jehovah's Witness congregational meeting.
So are you Jehovah's Witness?
Yes, I am.
Okay. And did you grow up Jehovah's Witnesses, or
No,
how did you come to the faith?
Through a series of hard knocks, but I looked for a lot of different religions, and none really satisfied me, and I found peace with Jehovah's Witnesses.
What denomination did you grow up in?
United Brethren, and I studied to be a Mormon. Yes.
And what made you not become a Mormon?
I couldn't grasp the 10 tablets of gold. I couldn't see it. I couldn't see it. Some of the things were really I didn't understand too well. I couldn't grasp.
And how old were you when you got into Mormonism?
I was 28.
And how old were you when you came to the faith of Jehovah?
40.
When did you get married?
Oh, well, you're already putting the wood on me now. Okay, November 28th, 1988.
Who are your children?
Oh, I was married before. Let me see. I have an older son. He's Donovan. He's a Tennessee State Patrolman. I have a daughter, Fawn. She's a professional housewife. I have another daughter, Demetria. She is a psychiatrist in North Carolina. Let's see, I have another son. He's just a regular working guy. I have two other younger daughters that, oh golly, I got to give the names too, right? My other son is Devin. My daughter is Seneca, who's she's youngest, and next oldest daughter is Sincere.
And how many children do you have altogether?
6 altogether. I have 2 deceased though, 2 passed away.
So are your children by your first wife or your second wife?
Here I was married a couple of times. My first wife, second wife, and third wife.
Oh, okay.
You know, I can't have more than one wife like they used to, so I get more than 3 or 4 wives, you know. It's okay, you know.
Can you tell me, where did you attend school?
At John Adams High School in Cleveland, Ohio. Initially, when I was coming up when I was smaller, it was at Marion Township School. Then I moved to Cleveland, and I went to John Adams High School in Cleveland.
So when did your family move from Chesterhill to Cleveland?
1957.
And how old were you?
I was 8 years old. It was back and forth. I didn't stay all the time in Cleveland. During the summers, I always come down and stay down here.
And what made your family move to Cleveland?
Because of the work. They cut out subsidies for small farms. They were squeezed out, basically. And after my father came back from the service, he never had the desire to farm anymore. And I'm retired now. I'm retired. I work for Jones & Loughlin Steel Corporation. Then I work for LTV. And then I work for Samuel Steel, which is a Canadian steel company.
Can you tell me, what is the most interesting thing you've learned about your family history?
Well, I learned that there's more, the 2 sides of every story. You don't have to believe anything people say in fairy tales, and you have to dig deep for the truth. And the truth is right there for everybody to see it, but it's how hard you want to work to find it. And a lot of things were surprising, like you have the myths and you have the truth. And you have the truth and you have the real truth. And some of the things you uncover, some things you don't actually want to know, but they come on at you, and you can't deny the truth. And you have sometimes it bugs you have to say something, especially when you know it's a falsehood, it's not true. Anything else?
How did you do your research about your family?
Well, first of all, we hired an accredited genealogist and accredited historian. We initially were with the Nipmucks of Ohio through Ruth Corbin. And we were able to hire some of the best genealogists and historians the money could buy, okay? And we dug and dug and dug, and some interesting things came up, and no one ever knew about. And we said, well, this isn't right, this isn't right, this isn't right, this is the truth. And that's how we basically found the truth.
And what is the truth?
The truth is that from Ruth Corbin's side, that they had her as being half Indian. She was full blood. She was brought here by the Grosvenors. She was an indentured servant. She was a indentured servant in Massachusetts. They got her when she was 2 years old, and they brought her here when she was, I believe it was 8 or 10 years old. But when she left the state of Massachusetts, she had to become a ward, because under these laws they have with indentured servants, once they left, they could not be brought out of the state that they were indentured to. She became a ward of the Grosvenors, and at 16 she was allowed to leave the Grosvenors household, and she got married to William Tabler, which is Michael Tabler's son. He was the one that the headstone today, and dedicating it here now.
Now, so Ruth Tabler would be his daughter-in-law.
Ruth Tabler would be his daughter-in-law. Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Now, can you tell us what you know about Michael and Hannah Tabler?
It's quite a bit. It's quite revealing, and it goes back to initially when the again, as I talked to about these Indian reservations in Virginia and how they were broken up. And the first thing they did before they broke up, disarm all the Indians, of course. Then they broke up the reservations. They had no place to go. And in Virginia, land and tobacco was king. If you had land, you weren't considered a pauper, you were considered rich. Or you considered a means of support, because you could sustain yourself without any kind of aid from the state or the Commonwealth of Virginia. When they deprived the Indians of their lands, they made them automatic paupers. And under the Pauper Act, they were able to give these Indians a choice, just like they gave my grandfather, Harris, a choice. Either move or put your children or yourself in an indentureship and to pay for the money that the state will put forward, just like welfare, but you have to pay for it, but you pay for your souls. That's the same thing that happened. Most Indians moved. That's why you've seen a tremendous movement of Indians moving out of the state of Virginia at that time, because the ones who could move could, and the ones who couldn't, they were stuck there in an indentureship. Unfortunately, Hannah's people couldn't move, okay? And so she was indentured, and when she was very, very young. And it was the type of situation where and the indentureship is, if you have a baby, they tack even more time on it. If for every year, they add an extra year indentureship if you get pregnant. Hannah started getting pregnant at age 16, exactly the same time where she was supposed to have been released. She started getting pregnant, and they kept tacking this indentureship on her more and more and more, until she had all these children. So basically, we think it was by Michael, okay, but he's the last one to end up with her. So we're pretty sure that it's Michael, because of the care and the love he had for his children. And he actually went to federal court for her, and to defend her, because they were in 1821, they were supposed to have paid, she was supposed to pay a tax on her. They had her as a Negro, and she wasn't a Negro. He went to federal court for her, and here they said she was a free woman. And under the census of 1820, they had their children as free people of color. And under the Supreme Court ruling years before, it states that free people of color were Indians living in civilized white areas. And logically, if those children were Hannah's children, and they were Indians, she was an Indian. And then under the 1713 Free Negro Act, that states that free Negro women would have to pay a tax on their freedom to stay free. Most Negro women couldn't even afford the tax, so they went back into indentureship rather than face prison. Prison or indentureship. So that's why we know that she wasn't a Negro. Okay, and even on what the game was they played was they kept bouncing her around to different relatives. One died, they transferred her to another relative and another relative and another relative. They even had her getting an annuity at the end of her age when she was supposed to be released by it. Hannah, she was in her 40s. Eventually, she stayed with I believe it was his aunt to the remainder of her life. She died in Virginia. She never came to Ohio.
Who, Hannah?
Hannah never came to Ohio.
So how did her offspring, so Michael and Hannah never lived here in Ohio?
Michael lived here, but Hannah didn't. Hannah didn't live here. What had happened is that when he emancipated the children, it was basically an act to keep them from getting seized again. As long as they had work or stayed under some person's protection, they could not be seized. If he was to emancipate them and they walked off the street, they could walk right here in the road and someone would seize them because they didn't have land, they were paupers, and they could be seized immediately. And if they were Negro, if they were emancipated, they had 6 months to get out of the state of Virginia. They were in for 6 years after they were emancipated. Okay, that's a big thing. Also, if he was cohabitating with a Negro woman, he could be in prison, he can be lashed, he can be exiled, and he could be fined, or all of the above, or even put to death. None of those things happened. He lived openly with her. So that tells you a lot. At the time of the segregation laws, the state of Virginia were extremely strict.
And what years are you talking about?
I'm talking from years from after Ohio, the American Revolution, up until 1850, or up to actually 1850, where they had the fugitive slave law, which even is more relevant because if all these slaves, supposedly slaves, ran across here and stayed in Kilvert, they were escaped slaves. You could, under the Act of 1850 fugitive slave law, they could take them, come here and take them, and not even have to question their heritage or where they came from, if they were black or white. They could just take them and seize them. It didn't happen. It's not a single case of any of this area even taken back by slave catchers. So,
When was Kilvert settled?
It's the battery.
I believe it was either her mother or grandmother. We think it was her mother. Under a court case in 1806 of Hannah Wright versus the state of Virginia. And it had to do with her wanting to have her freedom because she was a Native American. And the one who was keeping her in bondage threatened her. Under the indentured law, a person who's over an indentured slave cannot beat them, especially if a Native American cannot beat them, can't leave the state that they're indentured in. He threatened to take her out of the state. We also found an uncle, too. We filed for federal recognition already and for application, and we're working on our federal recognition right now. Some things are confidential, some things we can't give out. But I say with the most utter confidence in the face of this church right here and all these grave sites that I'm absolutely so confident about what I say. And the total injustice of slavery. They could not be shackled, they could not be interned, and because they were different. They were free people. They always were free people. They just happened to run into hard times. But yeah, absolutely. She was supposed to be released from indentureship in 1806 at age 16, and she started getting pregnant, and that's when all these bad things happened.
Now, growing up, did you learn about your Native American heritage? Was that talked about in the family, or what did they consider themselves when you were growing up?
My grandfather, my great-grandfather didn't really say too much, but they had bows and arrows, and they had war clubs. They had in the old tool shed over there, and a lot of things, the artifacts they brought with them. And when he spoke, he was very sad when he spoke about things that happened to him, because when his parents came up here, they died of typhoid fever, and he was left an orphan, like Art Harris. And he had a very rough go of it, you know, but all his relatives were here. So it wasn't like the old days where you can put them in an orphanage. They took the relatives in. The artifacts, and he taught me how to make clubs and tomahawks, and he had the old war club he had, and he had the 6-foot bow, and they made me, it was real dry, and they fixed the bow up with linseed oil, softened it up, and they made a rawhide string for it, and the whole 9 yards, and they showed me how to chip a flint arrow and everything. So it was real instructive. They told me how to make a wigwam, and just so many different things. I really miss them, very much, very, very much. Since they could tell me so much more. At the time I was young, I didn't know the right questions to ask, you know. And but he's a very quiet person. He's a very dignified person.
Now, did they consider themselves to be of African descent, or
No. He would just get very hostile when nothing against, but he was what he was. They were always and it's always like that, you know, always. And they were what they were, and that's what they were, and you can't change them. And that's why they left North Carolina. If he wanted to be a slave, he would have stayed in North Carolina. But his people left. Yeah.
I think that's all, because we have to get in there.
Okay.
But thank you very much.
I'm sorry, I didn't do such a good job.
Oh, you did.